That's it's a great way to win an award is to throw shade at.
Throw shade. We've
Yeah,
already
no,
thrown
we-
enough shade, right? Like,
It's like the news philosophy. Like, if we throw shade and we aren't live, did we really throw shade?
that's a good point. It's not. It's not. If it's not live, it doesn't count. Obviously. So
Why
are you
spicy,
flying out?
Wade?
Because I had coffee. I had good coffee today. That's why. Right,
This is
before
spicy
this,
coffee.
I actually went to an actual coffee place and had a eggnog latte.
Oh,
pretty
you're
good.
bougie.
I always go for the holiday drinks. It's my favorites. Like right now, my Starbucks order is a peppermint mocha with an extra shot.
You are
No matter
one.
the size, just always.
You
have
were
a shot.
one basic girl right there.
Dude, I don't go for pumpkin spice. All right, if a pumpkin spice is available, I'll get it. Like if that's it, but that's not my favorite. Definitely. I don't know. Did anybody have pumpkin pie? Like I feel like Costco's pumpkin pie has severely gone downhill. Is anyone else? It's just like it's not good anymore.
No idea. I make my own pumpkin pie, so.
Oh, only the best.
Look at
Our
you.
pumpkin pie comes from Publix.
Hey, Ryan and Ralph, the Sands Difference Makers is at the Hinckley Hilton. Have you been there before?
I'm pretty sure I have.
If get somebody to show you the presidential seal in the basement, and you can ask to use the presidential bathroom too.
Okay, this is this is the same. I've been there. I know what you're talking. I haven't seen that, but I know which hotel you're talking.
Well, dude, step it up a little.
I guess I have to.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get the VIP treatment since we're nominees.
nominees.
You definitely won't. They'll be like, it's only you two. Like, do you guys? Are you even on the stream?
We
Like,
thought you were definitely sending John. Can we?
Yeah, that is that is exactly what they thought.
We thought we were getting A team. We're getting like C squad here, right? It's all good.
Oh well.
So, are there
Have you-
any articles y'all are really fired up about?
You read the
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, Connor's got one.
You read
Yeah, I
that?
got one really interesting.
That's the only reason he's here is because
Yes.
he actually had something he wanted to talk about.
You can't talk about it yet
Yes.
because we gotta wait.
Yeah, we gotta wait. We're still in warm up pre-show right now.
You don't
Yeah,
talk
do you
about
guys-
the news. We all know that.
Do you guys have access to what's in Notion? Because you guys can see the link ahead of time. I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah, we definitely do.
We do. Just throw it in the chat. Throw it in the private chat in the corner.
Yeah.
And we'll follow it there.
Wait, the private chat in the Discord? Or
No,
in
Restream.
Restream.
In Restream.
Oh, okay, I can throw it in here. Okay, gotcha.
There's many chats.
Yep,
Choose
yep.
wisely.
There. But this is huge for me because I'm a hobbyist game developer and I use the engine that they're talking about where this exploit comes from. So it's pretty damaging, I think. Especially considering I think it's
Wait, don't talk about
You're
it
giving
anymore.
too
Oh,
much
yeah,
away.
you're
You're getting out
God.
of hand.
We
Don't
need
give away what we
can.
can.
We're gonna have to do a better job of onboarding people when they come onto the show.
Right. We mute them until we go live. That's probably the normal.
checklist. Are you gonna talk about the
Ryan,
news
can you get
immediately?
on that real quick?
Yeah, hold on. Let me just
How about that
disable-
local sports team?
There we go.
we can jump into that too. I'm down for some college football talk. That was a crazy weekend if anybody follows NCAA football. It was nuts.
No,
What did
after
I
my
do?
team decided that they wanted to never play again, I'm not watching this year.
I finished the League of Legends TV show on Netflix. Whatever that's called.
Arcane?
Yeah, that was good.
Did you like? Okay, everybody who has ever seen it has told me I need to watch it, and I did watch that Cyberpunk, and everybody's like, if you like that Cyberpunk Edge Runners,
Did you like the Edge Runners was like better than the game? Like
So it was actually really funny. So I loved the game going right off the bat. I liked it.
Yeah.
It got way better with updates, way less buggy. My brother never liked it. So he was like, I don't want to play it. So then I got another way for him to get him to play it was, why don't you watch this series? There's nothing to do about the game. He watched it, and that's how he got into the game.
they added stuff from the series into the game, which is cool.
Yep.
But on like the reverse of you, I bought the game right when it came out. I had no problems. My wife played the game on like our downstairs computer, which like barely ran it, and like she just used shotguns because then you don't have to do anything, right? So when I bought a PlayStation 5, I bought it for her. I bought that game, and within the first 10 minutes, it crashed. And this is like after they updated it. Like this is like in the last 6 months.
What game is
Yeah,
it?
it was bad. It was bad.
Cyberpunk.
Oh, in the last 6 months, it's still
This
bad.
is in the last 6 months. Yeah,
That's
I was quite
crazy.
upset because
Okay,
she
so
wanted to
just-
like replay it, and
So don't play it at all on.
don't play it on console. Yeah,
Just go for it
yeah,
on PC. Okay.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, Cyberpunk. Daniel, you never heard about the Cyberpunk drama?
So I'm not like a huge modern gamer. I like retro games, so I tend to play things from like PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and back.
So you're playing like Spyro?
I actually do play Spyro.
Spyro is great.
The remake was on point. The remaster.
Phenomenal games. They are very fun. I love the art that's in Spyro games. It's just they are super fun games. Yeah, I've got a couple of retro handheld consoles as well too.
Nice.
Yeah, my
OG
kid just
Crash
started playing the
Bandicoot was the
remastered
first for me.
Spyro and is loving it. So
Yeah.
What was that, Connor?
OG Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. Those
Dude,
are
my-
the
my-
two games.
My youngest
First
daughter
two games I ever
loves
played.
Crash Bandicoot.
that's the other one that we've been taking turns at playing right now. Has been the remastered Crash Bandicoot.
You realize how bad you were at video games as a kid when you go back and play that. Like I just
You really want to
No,
torture
I'm
yourself?
just as
Go
bad
play,
now.
what is it, Wizards and Warriors? That
Wizards
or Ghosts
and
and
Warriors.
Goblins, man. That Joker right there will murder you as well.
Well,
What about-
especially when you switch to like the old school controllers, and you're like, how was I ever good at this? Like, you play a game, and they're like, okay, you have the N64 controller trying to play GoldenEye again, and you're like just bouncing off of walls, and you're like, how did I dominate this game back in the past? How did I forget how to do this? Or you have like even the PlayStation, like the dual, like the original PlayStation,
Oh,
like
yeah,
the dual nubs that you're trying to go around, and you're like, how was I able to walk a straight line in this game? Like, it's just, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have one of those like that 8-bit dough or
Yeah,
something.
8-bit dough.
Yeah,
Yep.
8-bit dough.
Yeah. Those old controls, and what's funny is you play those old shooters from back then, so before you had Call of Duty, I would say the one, whether you like or you hate Call of Duty, the one thing they did do is they basically standardized what the control system is for a shooter, first person game, not just shooters, first person games in general. The left stick moves, right? Because you play like old school GoldenEye, and it's like,
Oh, it's brutal.
forward and back, up and down is forward, left, right is shift left. And it was very odd. The control scheme was really odd. Going back to it, you play it and you're like, I can't even aim right now at all. I'm just shooting the walls and anything but the bad guys, you know? So yeah, that was.
Y'all controllers. WASD.
I further handicapped myself because I got used to inverted axis.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, no.
So I got to go in and change like every controller I ever use because I'm like, this is unusable.
I run through all the Halo games on Legendary once a year for my birthday.
Oh, that's a
And
good idea.
I have tried to play it on mouse and keyboard, and I can't. I cannot do it. I have like my brain is so locked into controller for that franchise, like I cannot do anything. So like I've bought an Xbox controllers just to do that over and over again.
Anybody rocking the Steam Deck?
No,
Dude, I almost bought that
special.
specialized one that they had on sale, the white one. I can't do it.
You know, I looked at the Steam Deck and I looked at the Rogue Ally and I went, I'm going Rogue Ally because I could play all the Steam games and all my Xbox games and all the EA games all at once.
Yeah.
And outside of some battery life issues, which I got an external battery pack to take care of, I have no problem sitting down and playing that for 2-3 hours at a time.
Well, and you get the same thing with the Steam Deck. My friend Alex has one, and he's like, "Yeah, battery life isn't great. Like it only lasts like a couple hours, and then it's like I need power."
That's the same with my gaming computer. Needs power all the time. Horrible.
It just juice hungry, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the 4090 just screaming, and I'm only playing Call of Duty. That's it.
I was about to say Minecraft on max settings and my
Yes,
computer's screaming
exactly.
too,
I'm
right?
playing
Bloated.
the
Bloated.
original Unreal Tournament. just max settings.
Oh, yeah.
9,000 frames.
You build a $4,000 computer to play pixel art games.
Yeah,
That's
quick.
Exactly. Yep.
Diablo. He's playing Diablo.
Yes.
Not even the new one, the old
Not
one. We're
even the
going
new
back.
The OG Diablo.
Yeah, you got to drop at least 4K on pixel games.
That's understandable. Like Stardew Valley, somebody said they built a whole PC to play Stardew Valley with mods, I kind of get it. That game's super fun, but it's my sister did that, and she built one. She's like, "Oh, I got this graphic card." I was like, "What are you trying to play?" She's like, "Oh, like Stardew Valley." I was like, "You bought a?" I was like, "You really could just use maybe. You could probably get away with integrated graphics for that one." But
She's
like, "All right."
You didn't know she's going to Stardew Valley VR, right? Like straight up, you're like running around.
Well,
Welcome everybody
really
to
into The
Talking
Sims,
About
so that
Gaming.
probably-
Yes.
Hi, Corey.
All right.
Hi. What is going on? Is this a different podcast? Is this a
Yeah,
gaming
it's always
podcast?
talking about gaming.
Sorry.
Every
New
time
The
ang-
angle's
new
weird.
angle,
I'm like
who's this?
redoing
It
my
is.
office.
Why are you
every time I
standing
do
up? It's
Corey, I feel
gross.
like-
He's on a
standing up.
booster chair.
It's because I'm redoing my office. Okay, like there's literally no chair. that
Those
works
plants
with
are
this.
horrible. How dare you? Like fresh air. Ugh.
I know. I'm kind of redoing the aesthetic here. So, yeah.
I like it.
We ready
So
to
is
roll?
this a news podcast? Should we go?
It will be.
It's never what. It's never was a
Okay.
news podcast.
It will be. Mostly it was games. We're just talking about games. But that's because
Award
we had to stop
nominated.
Connor from talking about the news.
Someone says Connor's fault. I will say Connor does have a really good skill of redirecting any conversation to just somewhere you never expected it to go.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
That's why he'll be great on the news. All right, roll the
100% of
finger.
time.
All right, Ralph, you should take this one.
Sure. Welcome to Black Hills Information Security, talking about the news. I am your host today, Ralph May, and I am joined by a luxurious cast of characters. I think we have filled up the entire Hollywood squares today, including Ryan there. So we have Corey over there looking homeless as usual. I think I love your new camera view and plant growing activities.
Hopefully, in the future, I won't just be looking down at my laptop. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Monitors are not plugged in.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
all right.
You're
all
really
right.
going for some feng shui over there. I like it, though. I like your direction.
I'm scared.
We got Mike. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us again today, Mike.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. We also have Alex. Thanks
Hello.
for joining. And we
From
have
from the depths of the universe.
the depths of
Yeah,
the
I'm doing worse than Corey. Like I'm redoing my office too, but I just put up like a sheet. I don't have any like blinky
Work in
light.
progress.
It's a work in progress. It's going to be for a year. Yeah.
We
like
missed
how
the
that
Year?
Alex is
Oh my
betting.
god,
It's
a
not
year!
like-
Impressive.
We missed the mannequin, Alex.
Yeah, I'll bring it back. It's
Yeah,
missing an arm. It's missing an arm right now because I'm upgrading the arm. So
Got it. We also have Kelly. Thank you for joining us. And
Hi,
your
everybody.
your book collection, which I think the only book I can read in the back is Dune. So
That's a comic book.
oh,
You can't read.
Well, I try my best. We also have Daniel. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure as always. I just wish I had a cosmic background.
No, honestly, I feel like you
got
have the
Pac-Man back
most
there.
professional streamer looking background possible with that 1000% foca there. Just perfect.
The depth of field, the bokeh. Oh, it's beautiful.
Everybody always asks me, "Is that real?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's real. It's all real."
He nailed it. We can definitely tell that you have a DSLR.
Yeah.
We also have Wade wading through logs as usual.
Whoa!
Oh shit!
He's
got a
got
mustache.
Mustache cam, non-mustache cam.
For everyone listening on audio, he's just zooming his camera in at like ridiculous levels here, so you can just all get dizzy as hell.
I am also redoing my office, but I just throw stuff on the ground behind me and.
Oh, that's how you decorate?
Yeah, like
Yeah, it must be the holidays.
There's a bunch of stuff down there. You
Oh.
can't. It's all there. I just redid my whole network. There's like a whole bunch.
I
of
hope you just start
stuff.
working out halfway through the show.
I can if we want. Like that's a little weird. But
Dude, I know where the
You're
targeted
just-
ads are
just-
going for you. All
Just make sure your camera's on so we hear you grunting. We know why you're grunting.
hot sauce and weights. Here we come.
You're just like taking a sip of the bomb and then doing a 50 rack. That makes sense.
really motivates me.
Yes. And then also
The
we have
pain.
Connor.
No
You
pain, no
made
gain.
it from space.
From space, yeah.
Honestly, I feel like you just added that. So yeah.
I added it right during the intro. So
Yeah, perfect. Great.
Yeah,
And
I will
then-
say, Connor, you are showing off the dangers of green screen. Your arm just got chopped off.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know.
Alex might be using your arms.
It's space.
Oh, gosh.
Send that
Green
arm to
screen.
Alex so he can use it for his mannequin.
Yeah, I'll disappear it.
Yeah.
And then finally, last but not least, we have Ryan making it sound good. And your camera looks really good today too. I feel like you've upgraded.
No, it's the same camera.
Oh, okay.
It's
Turn it on.
it's just darker back there.
Yeah.
I can
That's
turn the light
cinematic
off and I go
lighting.
real dark.
Oh,
Whoa.
Do you want to do like an anonymous interview about why you hacked some banks or something?
I think you're ready for it.
Do it, Ryan.
So before we started this, Connor was trying to do the news before the news.
Yeah,
which
my
is
bad.
That's illegal.
It's like the
That's
rule.
highly
It's like
frowned
one
upon.
rule about the news club. You just don't talk about news before the club starts. You know.
Kelly and Connor are definitely in that club. They're always like trying to be so earnest and do the show and not just banter about video games for 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's really talking about anything else but the news now. That said, who wants to start with the news for those who did read anything in the news?
I
feel
mean,
like we
obviously
just gotta-
Connor.
Yeah,
Put him
go
on the
with
spot.
Honestly, he's dying to spill it so he can leave. He's just gonna be, I'm out. That's it.
Never.
My
never.
arms are gone. Help. Go, Connor. Go.
Give it to us.
Let me see here. There's
He's
a
right now.
link
He's
that
googling the news. Oh,
No,
Yeah,
he's
no.
putting on a presentation. He's made a whiteboard.
I made a whole thing. Oh, it's right. Yeah. So this is something really interesting. I don't know exactly how many of you guys are like a little bit of hobbyist game developers, but Godot is maybe the third most popular game engine used to make games. There's probably close to 10,000 games made a year, probably with Godot, if you're counting all the free games made. There's a big exposure to what's called the PCK files, which is what developers use to package up all the code that comes and runs the game. So I'm kind of a hobbyist game developer myself, so I use this engine, and that's really concerning because what you're looking at is a vulnerability. Instead of you hacking somebody else's device, what you can do is you hack the developer, you supplant a little bit of code inside of the pack, something I might not even notice. I redistribute an update out for my game, and everybody's got what I just put on there. So it goes right through most of the virus detectors as well, any malware detection, because even people who run games, especially people who run indie games, they usually tell their firewall go, hey, this is a little bit of a concerning executable file. Then you go, no, it's just a game. It's my game. I'm having fun. So yeah, I allow it. And that's fine if you're a developer and you know what it is, or you know what game you're getting, but you're talking about people who mod games. Now, they got to be careful. People who develop games, they got to be careful that they're not getting these viruses planted onto their game projects before they send them out. So that's just something I think if you're a developer, you got to, especially with Godot, it's open source. And so I'm sure people are going to try to take their crack at it right now. But as far as I know, the vulnerability goes, it's pretty much the way that the executable runs. It's really hard. I think it's going to be really hard to catch it. You're taking advantage of the actual code-based executables that are running with the game. So that's actually your game. Your game content is loading a virus onto your computer if you're not careful. So
it seems like this is kind of like a two-part attack, right? So the first part is that it is a kind of a supply chain, right? So we're getting in the middle of the developers to distribute your code. And then kind of the second part, which is not necessarily a vulnerability inherently, but it's just a feature in that you were talking about is this the GD script, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
GD script is supposedly this object-oriented programming language built inside of here for these game developers, but it's very similar to Python. So this
Yes.
allows them to pretty much deploy code that could do anything on the victim's computer, right?
Yep, pretty much. And they're using I believe it's called GodLoader. That's the name of the bug here. It's distributed through Stargazer's Ghost Network, which is GitHub network that's used to distribute malware as a service. I can sort of see, I think I'm not seeing any attacks from this reported from these guys who are doing it, Checkpoint Research. But to me, I think the bigger issue is going to be, let's say somebody makes a very popular game, Balatro. There's a couple of, Balatro isn't one, but there's a couple of good games out there that are being developed in Godot, right? You put the game out there, even if you've done all the checks, you as a developer, you go, okay, we're all good to go. You can just, if you're a hacker, you can put up on there, hey guys, I added a mod to the game to do X, Y, or Z, and everybody's going to install the mod onto their system. Oh, this is going to work great. It'll run alongside the game. I can see this being used as a really easy way to sideload malware. I mean, people are going to, and they're going to be hard to catch too. I think people are just going to download what they want. And
are you guys getting your games from GitHub? Because if so,
I was about to say,
I'm
well,
worried about you.
This is more focused for indie developers too, right? So smaller people who aren't going to have as good security, right?
Correct.
And honestly, these games are going to be cheaper, I would imagine too, if they are on some type of Steam store or being released in a way. So theoretically, you could hit a bunch of low hanging fruit and then pivot from there. One-off developers who aren't really checking their code or aren't checking vulnerabilities and stuff like this. It's a pretty interesting attack as someone who games. So,
I mean, I was bringing this together kind of in a question of, it's like, okay, so you're an executive at a large financial institution, and you say we don't play games on our machines, we don't do game code. Why does this matter to me? Why should I worry about this? I mean, I can give the answer to that, but does anybody want to take a stab at the answer to?
Well,
why you would care if you're a financial institution and you go, we don't run games?
Because you just point to the big stack of point to the big stack of compromises that originated from employee computers that weren't necessarily corporate machines.
Exactly, and that's what and that's what I want to bring together, because you're going to have, I mean, for the viewers out there that go, well, we don't. Who's playing games on company machines? And it's like, well, your developers are probably have some crossover where they're developing games on a machine and then go, hey, I'm also going to have some login credentials that are also on this machine, or have some other important code that's on this machine. And you're just kind of mixing things together. So when you're a large financial company that gets compromised and they go, well, how did they get our usernames and passwords? This is a vector, one of many vectors, but this is why you need to care about, like, okay, games, dev stuff, because definitely developers are being targeted, if not impersonated, just on a lot of threat vectors for going after developers. So it's one of the things to keep in mind.
Well, reading through this also, it seems that this could be affecting Android devices, potentially iOS devices with legitimate games, where the company is not necessarily locking things down because of BYOD. In that case, that could give them a beachhead through things, potentially even, now I haven't taken a look at it, what the sandboxing would be on it, but potentially even allowing access to certain things, say multi-factor authentication codes or something along those lines, especially if somebody keeps a spare set of them on their phone.
Oh yeah, and people are gonna, like, even if the company goes, hey, you're not allowed to play, how many employees at the company are gonna be like, oh, I'm really bored right now waiting between two meetings. You know what? I'll just pop up for 5 minutes. I'll play my favorite game that I've downloaded off of itch.io or some other little small indie game site where, developers might not have realized, right? Where, and just kind of like what Ralph brought, these are these are indie devs, or I think it was Wade who brought that up, right? Indie devs who don't know anything about cybersecurity, they're not going to be looking for this. So this is something that, you could potentially have this sitting in a game, a legitimate game that people enjoy, instead of like a fake game. Like you go to a site that's fake, or you're playing a game that feels weird and off. You might be like, oh, this seems weird. You're playing a legitimate game. You probably aren't thinking that there's malware right under it, waiting. So
does Steam do any type of like checks for this?
Steam does some checks. Steam does do some checks. My more concern is going to be websites kind of like itch.io, which is where a lot of indie devs are, a lot of free games. itch.io and other sites like it, you can even deploy Godot onto it as an HTML5 game. Now, I didn't see any research they were doing on this relating to having a web app running through HTML5. I'm curious to see how much damage can be done from that end. I think this is going to be more from the downloadable executable, but like that website itch.io is pretty popular. You got people give away a lot of games on there. There's some of the most famous like indie horror games, for example, are really big on there. Games that have millions of downloads. And again, you might have, not to say these are developers who are deliberately trying to do it, but you get compromised and you just supplant a little thing on there. You've got 3 million people downloading the game. Now you've got 3 million devices with a side load for it. Yeah. So it's pretty.
As a PSA for everyone, if you're doing anything sensitive on a computer, don't play games on that same computer.
Yeah,
because
no one's gonna follow that.
Okay,
no
you're right. But just as a hygiene thing, just know that the world of video games is just the Wild West. Some of the games themselves are basically rootkits.
Yeah.
They require root access to your files or complete basically bootkits.
Yeah, especially
cheat engines are horrible.
Yeah.
The sensitive data. I don't know. There's also been many hacks in the past of other video. There was an Apex Legends one. Yeah. There's a bunch. So basically. Yeah, just be careful out there with the games.
Yeah, that's the PSA I was looking for.
Yeah, to Corey's point, just get a separate machine to play video games. I know it seems like
also it's Windows anyway, so just assume it's gonna get hacked.
Yeah,
just assume it.
Plus, who devs on Windows?
What would be a really cool name for a ransomware gang that pivoted through video games, like indie horror video games? I feel like there's a lot of potential for a really.
There
cool
is some potential. You're right.
Right.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure the audience will come up with
people using this system could go ahead and be called Waiting for Godot.
Ah.
And again, this is, I think it's the engine itself, I don't think is necessarily to blame here. I mean, from my understanding of it, you're going to need, like I said, I think it's going to be really hard for this to be patched because this is more of a developer vulnerability than it is, I think, the engine itself, right?
It's a supply
chain game is going to need content and code to run, so you can't really, tie that down as that much. But it's just something I think that's out there that I think it's a smart attack because, right, if you can get bad code onto a legitimate game, it's going to be really easy. The game will distribute itself. People will just be going over.
Yeah, it's just a normal supply chain
pirate
attack.
Games, right? Like, hey, I don't want to download. We were just talking about Stardew Valley, right? Stardew Valley. Oh, I don't want to pay for Stardew Valley. I'm going to download it off the internet. Well, there you go.
I'm not going to say how many computers I've lost to downloading cheats as a child.
Oh, yeah. You just had to burn the whole computer. You couldn't even.
You're just
it.
Throw this
fire
drive
pit
away.
GTA 5 free download. Right here.
Red Alert 2 hacks.
Yeah.
All
the
not to be the guy that ties it all back to info stealers, but the number of times we see employee compromises in the same scenario, not through supply chain attacks like Connor's talking about, but through info stealers of, codes for this game or, hacks for this game or cheat engine this or whatever. It's super common and it's the same attack vector, result to a company is an infected employee or an infected employee's child or whatever.
Yeah.
So we need a bingo card.
That happens a lot.
If we
put info stealers.
There used to be John Strand bingo. Yeah, John Strand bingo. We don't have news bingo. Maybe we gotta look into that. Info stealers is definitely one.
So
as a closing note.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say that it seems like Connor was saying he doesn't really see any way around this. It's going to be difficult to patch or protect. Question then becomes: people ain't going to stop playing no games. Games don't get played, right? If the only real security you could do to kind of protect yourself from this is to have an extra device that is specifically for gaming, and then you burn it to the ground after every game you play? like this seems to be, you know what I mean? Like where you're re-imaging after everything you're running.
I game in Docker only.
Is that where we're at with this, or are these games I mean, yeah, Connor, you mentioned these are all indie games. They typically are anyway.
Well, yeah, it's an open source platform.
It's an open source platform. Are they resource intensive? Could you run maybe a virtual machine that's easy to burn to the ground? You have an image for, you do a snapshot, roll back. Could you do snapshots of your machine? I mean, there's got to be some practical way which we could work our way around this.
I have so many thoughts on this. So number one, it's up to the supplier of the game to do their own scanning for malware, right? Like if you're Steam or whatever indie scratch or whatever thing Connor was talking about, it's your duty to scan for obvious malware, because like I guarantee you, not only are people using legitimate game engines to distribute malware, they're also just using what looks like malware as video games, or the other way around, what looks like video games, like, game.exe, and it's just like a Cobalt Strike payload. It doesn't have to be, you can't allow that kind of thing to be distributed. You can't allow that to be distributed on your site. So if you're a distributor of this type of stuff, you need to be scanning it. The other thing is, for the average user, it's not necessarily about burn your whole machine down and start over. It's just about knowing, maybe I don't do my banking on my gaming computer. Maybe I do my banking on my phone, and I use my gaming computer more just for my games and stuff. And I know you're right. Like, you can't stop the people from gaming. You give your kid, or you give a kid a phone for 5 seconds and there's like 10 games on it. But just that, I think, knowledge of like, suppliers, what suppliers can you trust? Like, let's say you have a kid. Hey kid, only get your games from Steam. Don't just go out and Google like free indie games and get them on GitHub or whatever. So
you hear that, Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get your games on GitHub or from, Jason joked in the chat, like I was shocked when I downloaded Napster and it had malware in it, or I downloaded Photoshop with Napster and it had malware in it. Like, where you get it matters, I think, a lot. So that's
submit all your games to VirusTotal.
Yeah, submit all your, seriously.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah, just put the game on virus.
Ralph, I think this is a great transition to the FTC article about IoT devices. Did anybody read it? Or when you saw governance stuff, you guys just kind of ignored it?
I threw up in my mouth. And
we've talked about the FTC so much, and I've just been missing you, Kelly. Where have you been?
Yeah,
I've probably made
very,
you know how much
true.
misinformation I've distributed about the FTC in the last 2 weeks. Please help. What's going on?
Was it good stuff?
Well, we were talking about the antitrust stuff and them selling Chrome and all that. Anyway, take us to IoT devices.
So there's a new white paper from the FTC that talks about smart device makers. Now let's pause for a second and think about all the smart devices we have in and around our homes. We've got refrigerators, coffee pots, thermostats, all sorts of stuff. I don't know, did you guys ever see Tim Medine's smart doll demo he did?
Smart doll.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I'm already creeped out.
It was one of the talking dolls. This was years ago. He put it in the hallway and hid behind a door and made the doll start talking, except the doll wasn't saying very nice things. But he made his point. So yeah, you have to ask Tim about that. I don't want to steal his thunder. Anyway, so the FTC looked at quite a number, looked at 184 different smart devices, and 89 of them didn't actually communicate to buyers or consumers how long the products would receive software updates or how long they would be even under warranty or updated. And this is a really interesting point to bring up because, some of us like to think we're smart about cybersecurity, but we all have aunts, uncles, neighbors, people at church who are maybe less aware of it. And basically they came up with this white paper to draw attention to it. And the other interesting piece that the article didn't really talk about is that the Biden administration actually had an executive order back in 2022 asking for IoT labels on them. And that label was basically the good housekeeping seal of approval, that they were under a regular software update program, that they had an end of life communication to consumers. So apparently nobody's listening to that executive order from 2 years ago, I think is basically what I'm hearing.
But now the FTC's involved, which makes it that's more teeth, right? Because they can start suing companies. I mean, I think it's really cool. My take is I think this would be awesome. If the nutrition label or whatever might be, I'm thinking about funny logos for like has all your data in someone else's cloud, and it's like a little like evil hacker guy. Like I don't know, but the concept of having like, I will say, like, I guarantee you the reason companies don't want to do this is because if you start reporting that information to consumers, they're so much less likely to buy. Like if it says like this light switch, which takes 30 minutes to install, will be end of life in 2 years. Like who's going to buy it then? Like, I don't know. I think that's the problem is like,
do you guys think this...
you've got that problem, and then you've got the other problem on the other side of everybody that never reads or looks at it and says, and then 5 years down the line go, why is this not getting updates? Why did I get hacked? Why did I get taken care of? Why are you not doing this for me?
Yeah.
And you can look at Windows in some ways in the same sort of breath with it, with everybody now looking at the end of Windows 10. Why does Windows 10 have to be over and blah, 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 blah. There's a fine line there. People just want something that works and is going to work consistently. The other question that I've got is, with changes of administration, etc., is this actually going to have any teeth? Is this actually going to go forward?
That's what I was going to say, right? Like,
I
Lena
hope
Khan
so.
has been on I'm a fanboy for Lena Khan and all that she's been doing. Like, that's like, I don't know if you guys have like watched all the crazy stuff that she does. Like, I think Jon Stewart wanted her on the podcast when he was still on Apple, and Apple told him, no, you can't have her because she's like,
that powerful.
She's that powerful, right? And I would assume
awesome.
that this IoT thing is going to go away, right? The other interesting thought about this is whenever I think of IoT, I automatically think of the Mirai botnet, because that was like the first big IoT botnet that was taking stuff down and was relatively easy. So that company actually was Chinese based. They did actually push an update to all their devices. It was DVRs for cameras. And it was all third world, right? It wasn't in the United States. The other big thing is then you could just reset the DVR and it actually would revert back to the original update and wasn't anything. So I think IoTs are almost still a failed service. Like, they're never going to be great at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think there's room in the market for someone who would actually support an IoT device and make it secure and have that badge of approval from the FTC that may or may not actually exist. But I think the market for it is so much smaller than the total market for IoT stuff. Like most people, I think, when they're buying IoT, they're either don't know it's IoT to begin with. Like if you have a smart coffee maker, now I'm assuming everyone in this room is the same way. But if I see something as Wi-Fi, I'm like, well, that's the opposite of a selling point. I don't want it. Like, what do I have to unplug now? Like, if I'm like, I guess some things have to be internet connected, and that's just the way it is. But like, I don't know.
Microsoft came out with the IoT platform, and that was their like a general catalyst for it, right? Was to try to like standardize it from like a security perspective. I'm not really sure how much of it actually caught on as far as a hardware platform goes, right? A lot of these IoT providers a lot of them are from China, especially from a hardware perspective. Sometimes that software is all written in China as well. And it's just not about necessarily China writing bad software or good software, right? But it's just more about like this rapid development to try to get the next thing that gets this market cap, as opposed to
it's capitalism. Yeah,
exactly. As opposed to caring about security. But then to your last point about just like whether it connects to your Wi-Fi or not, I've got a ton of IoT devices, way too many. And, the benefit of Wi-Fi is that remote connectivity or whatever, but it's also the weakness of it, right? From a security perspective. So, that's why a lot of vendors have gone to Wi-Fi. It's very simple to implement and get going. So, yeah. Anyway.
I definitely think the push has to be on the manufacturer side. You can't push consumers into this awareness.
Consumers have zero care. All they care about is like, is it cool? Is it cheap?
Is it
right?
cheap?
Like, I mean, like, I can give you all the things, and none of those have to do anything with security.
What if we forced the Wi-Fi providers, like modems and routers, to have an IoT network that recognizes IoT devices and puts?
Are you talking about Amazon Front Door? This already exists.
Yeah, that's how
that already exists. They have that where like it'll see.
Well, there's also LoRaWAN. Do you know about LoRaWAN?
I do not. Yeah. I have my own network that I do it with, but
basically it's a super interesting world. But there's tons of low power, low bandwidth IoT networks that are just generally available, at least in the US and probably Europe, that are completely out of band with your normal Wi-Fi. And as sketchy as that might sound, I think that's a way better option than connecting your stuff directly to Wi-Fi. Although it does require you to go through someone else's cloud, but that's kind of a necessity nowadays anyway. So I don't know.
Well,
it's kind of cool.
I think there's kind of two problems here, right? So one is whether it actually is needing some kind of cloud communication to broker that, right? Because then now the device is dependent on the service. If the service goes down, you can't use the thing. That's really what FTC was talking about too, is, consumer protection. But then the other thing is that now it is connected to the internet now, so like a callback, right? So, and then also to your point about LoRaWAN, I believe the new Wi-Fi standard is looking to investigate in a long range, like low data rate, at which LoRaWAN is 900 megahertz long range. So
yep,
it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but the thing about LoRaWAN right now is if you try to push any sort of massive amounts of data through it, forget it. It is
no.
That's, I mean, I'm playing with Mesh. I've been playing with Meshtastic, which is all LoRa based.
Yeah.
And
it's not what it's meant for though. But it's about range and cost, right? Because this gets into like the whole problem with Wi-Fi, for example. It's got a lot of bandwidth, but it's a crowded space and it doesn't have a lot of range. Where IoT devices actually don't need much bandwidth, but they want a lot of range. And what they're trying to do is control cost, so you can have a lot of devices connected, right, without paying cell phone providers.
What worries me about that, based off of what I'm dealing with Meshtastic, is the connectivity between each of the devices overall to avoid that cell phone. So my Meshtastic device, which I've got right here, that communicates to like 20 different others, and it tells me how many hops everything is away. Yeah. So if I've got 5 or 6 things that are 1 hop away, the expansion of all of that, the security inside of there starts becoming suspect unless you start using encryption and certificates. Yeah. And we all know how well that goes in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like it's kind of similar to like Tailnets and Tailscale. It's like it's a distributed VPN, and key-based auth shouldn't be too difficult to implement. Like you basically have each account has a key. The problem is no one has centralized this that I know of. There's no one that's like IoT. I guess maybe Meshtastic will be the first one to do it, but that I think maybe would fit a consumer need is like Smart Hub, but like, I mean, I think most nerds are doing Home Assistant, which is amazing. And if you haven't messed around with Home Assistant, it's awesome. But I would never recommend like, oh yeah, my parents, you guys should use Home Assistant. Step 1, download a Raspberry Pi image for, oh wait, no, this isn't gonna work.
This
like,
is too much.
No. Yeah.
It is funny. Most of the security stuff that we do see in IoT, like the main problem is designed around convenience, right? These things are designed to be as convenient as possible. And that opens up this kind of like, Pandora's box of security issues that, are inherent.
Pandora's toaster.
Yeah.
So does that mean if they make the IoT devices inconvenient, that the market just drops out of the bottom and we stop having IoT devices?
Yeah. Yeah,
pretty much.
I think so. I think at least me, like, I'm obviously was raised before light switches would like sense your presence and smartly turn on your toaster because you're waking up or whatever.
Yeah, you have to toast when you wake up. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I will say, like, there's always a part of me that's like kind of a Luddite at heart and is like, go away. I want to, like, what light switches have lasted for 20 years is the ones that are just the flippy kind. Like those are good. I mean.
Yeah. Can I follow up on what you're saying there? I think it's going to be until somebody gets really hurt or dies that this is going to change. And I'm really going to go old school here. Do you remember Ralph Nader and the Pinto and the gas tank?
Unsafe at any speed.
Until houses start catching on fire or something really bad happens, I don't think the IoT market's going to be regulated, even as much as the FTC tries to assert it.
So, okay, what we need to do is dust off old Nader and have him write insecure at any bandwidth. Insecure at any
bandwidth. There you go.
And then I will say ransomware on my Nest thermostat would be bad. It'd be like, pay 1 Bitcoin to turn down the air conditioning or whatever. I don't know. It'll happen at some point. Some enterprising hacker. Also, I will say you can capitalize. If you want to politicize this, all you have to do is say, every U.S. senator has a chip from China in their house that's controlling their, that has physical access to their house, and like
their
that
CPAP.
Their CPAP, their pacemaker, their robot vacuum that can be used to shout racist obscenities at their kids or whatever.
Their earphones.
Yeah, like
hearing aids.
Yeah, hearing aids. I don't know. I do think the political argument is there. It's just someone has to capitalize on it of being like, and maybe the answer is like, no, the senators don't have anything internet connected because they don't know how to connect it to the internet. And that's maybe a separate problem. But I will say, like, as the current leadership ages out, you're going to get like a bunch of younger people who are like, everything's internet connected. I can't even go to the bathroom without turning my phone on and opening the toilet seat using the Z-Wave app or whatever. Like,
Oh no, not this one again. Not the camera.
I do think that is funny though, Corey, because you're totally right. When you're like trying to play with these IoT devices, you're like, God dang it, not gonna open this app. It's like 14 menu driven thing to do something that used to just be a switch. I get it.
I literally worked my way I have all these Philips Hue lights and I have them in my house, and I went all the way back to like buying a Philips Hue light switch. I was like, did I just pay $25 for a light switch? What am I doing? Like,
they got you.
Jason P71 brings up a great point. What do you mean my medical devices aren't secure? Shocker. We saw everything that happened with the hacking of insulin pumps. That hasn't changed anything as it is.
Yeah.
The people saw it. They got up and they got riled up about medical devices going ahead and being hackable, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared until somebody else comes up with something that really catches the general public's thing.
This is too good of a segue to not talk about the Register's article. U.S. senators propose law to require bare minimum security standards for healthcare organizations.
So this is two-factor was on that list.
Yes, MFA. Basically, it says American hospitals and healthcare organizations would be required to adopt multi-factor auth and other minimum cybersecurity standards. Bipartisan group. So you can see the PDF. It's called the Healthcare Cybersecurity and Resiliency Act, which I assume
a lot of healthcare stuff's been hacked recently over like the last year or so. What was the other one? The big insurance provider, like
Change.
Platform.
Change
Healthcare. And
I mean, there's so many. The list is too long. I could go and list 100 healthcare companies or healthcare adjacent companies.
What do they care about security though? All they care about is, I don't know, selling drugs or saving people's lives.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think this is great. I will say, like, the immediate corollary for me is like, if you think about FedRAMP. So like, if you don't know what FedRAMP is, it's basically minimum security standards for companies that are DoD adjacent, right? They have required MFA. Like, if you have the FedRAMP version of whatever software it is, it will require MFA. So like, I think this is a no-brainer and should be done. If the government makes healthcare people do it, they'll do it. That's what we learned with all the previous healthcare changes. So I think it's worth just doing it. I hope it passes, unless Kelly tells me that there's some issue with it passing that I don't know about.
I don't know either yet.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, there'll probably be some industry standard or industry, lobbyists that'll be against it because it, in essence, costs money, right? I mean, half the things that security doesn't get done is because it costs money. So,
totally.
Yep.
Well, how about we move away from death and talk about really what gets us going in the morning, and that would be Starbucks.
Coffee, I knew it.
Starbucks ransomware, are we going there?
Oh,
their payroll thing. Yes, this is a good one.
More data got released. We talked about it a while ago, but it was when they were first hit, and like I had went to Starbucks that day, and nothing had happened. But
nothing had happened yet.
I use credit.
Is that when you got a girly drink?
Yeah,
of course. How dare you? All right.
How dare you? He got a special novelty cup. It's only exclusive during the holiday season.
Dude.
So this was a third party, right? This wasn't actually Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
As they usually are. Thanks, Snowflake.
I didn't. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's really funny because when you said that, I immediately went like, "Are you calling me a snowflake?" And then I was like, "Yeah, there was a huge breach." Okay.
Not at all, Corey.
It was a third party related to time tracking and timesheets, and they basically the interesting thing of it is like, so they had to do like time manually. Where like they it's basically they just are paying people based on their scheduled time. So like if you traded shifts with Danny gets paid instead of you, and that's not fair.
God damn it! Not again.
So, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's ransomware, but a third party.
What was the what do you call it?
The third party
that got yeah.
I actually don't know. I don't know if they were. It was like something
they didn't say.
It's probably one of these. It's probably listed. Let's see.
Do you have
my
a
guess
subscription
is
to the Wall Street Journal? Like
it's one of
behind
these
a
companies
paywall.
that like they only exist to make Starbucks exist.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
that's
Like
it. That's their model.
they're like, we have one big client, it's
We have
Starbucks,
one client.
and now we're in trouble.
It blows my mind. So just for context, how many SaaS software companies are out there, and how many of them do all little stuff within like a whole business's
I
model?
know.
Crazy.
Business critical stuff, I
Yeah.
guess.
No. Like super.
Yeah.
Like exactly. Like this is how they function as a business, and they hand that thing off. And it could be one little small thing. In this case, it's just time tracking, right? Like just doing timesheets. But it, you know, in other companies, it could be a lot of other things. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is a key point for like if you're a CISO or if you're worried about the whole third-party risk thing. Guess what everyone's talking about? Starbucks. They're not talking about whatever the actual company is that got hacked because it affected Starbucks. It's the same thing as the Snowflake thing. Snowflake got, had some security issues that maybe they could have fixed, but all the companies that use Snowflake are the ones who have to report the breaches and deal with the blowback, not Snowflake. So I don't know. It's an interesting, I don't know how this, I don't know how you fix this, but it's definitely a rough one.
Have a better.
Some fun facts about Starbucks. They're one of the largest financial institutions because of all the gift card money.
Corey, I'll follow up on what you just said. I'll tell you how we start to fix this. There's a lot of organizations that can't even identify who their third-party SaaSs are.
Right.
As part of your third-party risk assessment, that's a whole nother conversation, but at least can you sit down with IT, purchasing, accounting, and find out who your third-party providers are? That's a great place to start, because just like, you see these ads where people say, hey, did you know that you have a subscription to Netflix or Apple TV or whatever, that, oh my goodness, I had no idea I was spending money on that. Organizations are in the same position where they've got services they don't even know exists. So as much as we all love auditors, and we do, they serve a purpose. They're going to help us understand what services we're using and perhaps even turn off those that we aren't using.
With that being said, this episode of BHIS Talking About News is sponsored by Rocket Money. Rocket Money.
This episode is sponsored by whatever company does time tracking for Starbucks. Are you getting hacked?
Ford actually got it hit too.
Who?
So Ford was another customer. They're not saying who it was.
Oh, you're saying Ford was a customer.
Ford was also a customer. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're wondering if your pen test should include your vendors in scope, this might be a reason to maybe talk to them and say, "Can we pen test you?
Kelly,
do you have a pen test?"
Have you ever heard of anyone just like canceling all their credit cards and just waiting for the vendors to come in and be like, "Hey, where's our money?"
Yes. P cards.
P card. That sounds like a good way to do it, right? Like we're going back to zero.
Or, what's in a similar vein, Wade, what I've recommended to some companies, and they haven't invited me back either for some reason, is I've suggested that their accounts have a expiration date, a yearly expiration date, and for the user accounts to be re-enabled, the users either have to go through security awareness training or the account has to be audited, because a lot of times people will move from one department to another and they get this pile of privileges instead of a re-examination of what rights they should not have once they leave that old department. Yeah, absolutely. That would be my recommendation. And that's why I don't get invited to parties very often.
Love it. Love it.
How many companies just say this is the cost of doing business and thanks for your audit, and we can check our compliance box and move about their day? And because ransomware doesn't seem to be going anywhere. I just saw that it said 2024 seems to be a banner year for the ransomware community. They are having an excellent time stealing money or extorting it from you anyway.
Daniel,
so why do we continue to see this on the rise? How come we are not able to get ahead of this problem?
It's like life, Daniel. There is no finish line, and we all still have jobs. As our audit and assessment capabilities and detection capabilities get more sophisticated, the attackers get more sophisticated. So I don't see this battle ever ending. That's my 2 cents.
Well, that's my point, though, right? Like, this is going to continue to go and continue to grow is really the word I'm looking for. And it becomes this cat and mouse game. There, ultimately, is that what's going to end up making organizations just go, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. So why worry? Just let it happen when it happens, and then we move on about our day.
I mean, as long as they have backups, I kind of agree.
I think where that will come in is if they can secure backups or come up with some way of doing restores and say, all right, it'll take us X amount of time to restore. We'll go ahead and do this. These restores are offline, completely away from everything else. Just we're able to burn it down and bring everything back up within a couple of days. If that can happen, then the companies are going to not give a crap about the ransomware.
Did this just turn into the IT security version of Fight Club? Where he was explaining how the insurance companies don't do a recall, or the motor company doesn't do a recall if X amount of people. Right? It's all just a money calculation. Like, as long as we're only paying this much per year, hey, what are you going to do, right? And we'll continue to invest in some cybersecurity, and that way we can say we did our best, and people feel good. But it's kind of like the IoT stuff. Like, it doesn't matter if you put a label on it that says it's IoT. Is it convenient, and do I think it's cool? Same kind of thing when it comes to their services. As long as I can still go to Starbucks doesn't care. As long as it's not hurting their bottom line too far, they can say we did X, Y, and Z, but they're just going to continue to do whatever. I mean, they don't care that a few employees don't get paid.
I mean,
they're going to rebound.
I do think,
Daniel, you need to watch some Disney. I think you're in a bad mood today.
I'm a bit of a cynic.
Well, okay, so on the Starbucks thing, I do think that's an example of it will hit the business team hard enough that they'll want to fix it for the future. Because keep in mind, some poor accountant is going to have to go through and figure out, for tax reasons, if nothing else. I mean, obviously, you're right. They don't care if a few employees don't get paid, but those employees have lawyers that do care. Or, like, there's lots of employment law things and labor union things and all that. Like, business practices are going to be significantly impacted. Obviously, some of that will blow back on the vendor, and they'll have to financially either fold or cover it. But like, I think it's like hit them where it hurts, right? And I think ransomware sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. But I think, like, it's a little bit too expensive these days to just be like, oh yeah, lost revenue, a couple billion, lost data. That's free because, no one cares anymore. But yeah, I mean, the lost revenue is where companies are you're going to get ears perking up, I think. But I mean, you're not wrong to be cynical. I'm just saying, I think things do get slowly better, even if we don't perceive them as we're the frogs in the boiling water a little bit, but
yeah.
I personally think it's going to get maybe a little bit worse before it starts getting better. There's going to be more companies impacted. You have a lot of people who are going to be getting things like cybersecurity insurance, right? For ransomware insurance. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of people incentivized just to pay, which means you're going to incentivize people to get out there and do ransomware more. And I think on top of that, you've got, and I've kind of talked about this with some of you guys a bit, but I also think we need to get programmers, software engineers, computer scientists, we need to get them a little more involved in cybersecurity, a little more at least hyper aware of what's going on, because, and I'm speaking from personal experience. When I was in college learning coding, I was learning it from an application development standpoint. And, we weren't taught anything about security, almost nothing. So I remember I took BB's web app pen testing class, and I was shocked. I was like, wait, you guys can see what I'm sending? You guys can see that? Pink, you guys see it? What do you mean the credentials are, you can't send them plain text? Stuff like that. That's, and with AI and with all that stuff, we've got ChatGPT. It's only going to make it worse, where people are going to start coding what they don't understand more often than not. And I think that's going to create this vicious cycle of more vulnerabilities with more incentives for ransomware to be paid, incentivizing people to do ransomware a lot more. So I think we're going to be going in that direction. But I don't want to be like, it's all doom and gloom. I mean, cybersecurity is also growing. Cybersecurity awareness is growing. People are taking it a lot more seriously. Years and years and years ago, my dad's company got hacked for ransomware, and nobody even knew what to do. Nobody was like, wait, what is this? That's, people are more aware, and that's a really good thing. So I think the awareness is going up. So we might see some really good.
I tend to agree with you on that. Honestly, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate in a lot of ways, and kind of throwing out the darker side of this stuff so we can kind of attack it and meet it head on. I feel like this is a cultural thing. We need to change culture, not so much. Not that we shouldn't be like making awesome cybersecurity people. That's always a fun thing. It's super fun and it's really interesting, and a lot of people are really into it, and that's a good thing. So I like to see that part of it. But just the general Joe and Jane out there, they don't think about this. And then you look at C-levels. I can't tell you how many C-levels I've talked to that I'm like, wow, you run a company. How is that possible? Because your level of care about how your company actually runs seems to be very low. You're not worried about the things that you should be worried about, and you're completely on fire about the stuff that doesn't really matter. It's a very weird phenomenon that, in my experience, I have come across. So I would love to see us get at them, get them here. Let's see if we can get to them there, and then maybe we can reach the head through that. If we can make it cool, if we can make it like cybersecurity is good, maybe we need some PSAs like back in the 80s, where we got someone that comes in and does a rap about cybersecurity with some kids in a park. I don't know. I'll do whatever it takes. I just want to see.
You got to go to TikTok then. You got to get some TikTok dances out. That's what you got to do.
I think it's my turn to be a little cynical, because I would normally point to CISA for being super useful in this exact capacity. Their Secure by Design initiative, which, if anyone doesn't know, that's basically, we kind of made fun of it on the show, but it is actually mildly useful. It's essentially forcing companies who do software work to use memory safe languages, because we know we can't program in non-memory safe languages without introducing, memory corruption vulnerabilities. And then they also, like, CISA is the people whose job is to go explain to US senators and others why, voting machines can be hacked or how they can be hacked. So I mean, their future is a little bit uncertain. I really hope that that agency continues to exist. But like, I think that's really what the niche they were fulfilling within the world is like, go to the Congress critters or whatever we're calling them and say, like, here's why security matters. Here's why your voting machines can be hacked or how. And then also go to the companies that actually make the voting machines and say, please commit to, write this in Rust. That's what the real secret is. Just tell everyone to write everything in Rust.
You nailed it. I mean, security 101 right there.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But
I do think we approve this message.
Yeah, I do think there is a need for that on a federal level to connect the gaps between the people who actually make the laws and the people like us who are just yelling at computers all day.
I think the good news is it does seem like the infosec culture is starting to permeate a lot more out into the general public, right? People are understanding that, that the computer is one of the biggest weapons that is used against them now. Their technology in their pocket, in their homes, on their desk, and the servers that they rely on to get them through the day and do all the things, that has started to really become more of a, oh yeah, that is a thing. Because I talked to I think my cousin, who is not a technology person, and I said something flippantly like, "We'll just put it in the cloud." And she's like, "Yeah, but the cloud, that's somebody else's stuff. What if it goes down? What if?" I was like, "Hey, now you're thinking."
Nice.
That's good. And I was very proud of her. I was like, that is awesome that your mind went that way. And that tells me that if you're not a technology person and you started thinking like that, that's because we're permeating. We're getting out there. We're finally making some headway. So hopefully, I think that's going to be the best way to get at people, is to make them, what do we used to call that, right? Like buy-in. We get buy-in from the stakeholders. It's just on a larger level. It's more global, more cultural. And then when people start going, well, no, that's just not how we do this thing. People understand that you lock your door at night, right? Because there are bad things out there. That became a cultural thing. It used to be where people didn't lock their doors. When that became a problem, all of a sudden the culture changed because they didn't want that to be a problem anymore. So hopefully, and I think we are starting to see that turn with, like, anecdotal evidence such as that, is that eventually that will be the thing. And now things are going to change and the new technology is going to come out. We're going to have to hit that ground, but hopefully by that time we've got these things, a little more on lockdown than we do at this point in time.
Sure.
I think we've already broken down some of the barriers already.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about 20 years ago, hackers were like wizards who sat in basements and drank a bunch of Jolt Cola or whatever. I think now hacking is more like demystified and more accessible, and not like black magic, but just a thing that people do And also, I think we've worked really hard, at least from my perspective in the industry, to like get rid of the stigma or like us versus them between like the users or like the people who are actually protecting and like the security folk. Because like I think, we used to be like, bad, you clicked on a fish, you're in trouble. But now I think it's more of, at least hopefully at most in an ideal world, it's more of a conversation about what can we do better? How did things go from your perspective? Was there any tip offs? Like kind of more making it a collaborative approach instead of just like saying users are, they can't be helped. We're just going to treat them like children or whatever.
Yeah, and that reminds me of like at DEF CON 20, they had one of the speakers that was also at DEF CON 1. And and she came back and she did it's like, look, I stood up there at DEF CON 1 and said, all of you are criminals and we're going to find you, we're going to arrest you, we're going to put you all in jail. And she came back and she said, like at DEF CON 20, she's like, okay, now I am standing up here saying, we need you. Like, we want to work with you. We want to collaborate with you. We understand things change in 20 years of DEF CON. And the things that they learned and developed from that. And again, the public perception changing for having a lot of the initiatives of like Hack for Good or any other different programs.
So what's this water thing that's happening? Tell us about the waters.
Yeah, so the water thing, like I'm impressed by this as well, because it kind of extends a bit beyond the, DEF CON has done the voting machine villages to where they examined voting machines, pointed out all of the deficiencies in them, and worked with the industry in order to bolster them. And this is a similar story, but with the water infrastructure that is complicated. And even in the article, it makes some comparisons between the voting machines, to where they're like, okay, the voting machines, like 2 companies contain control like all the market share, but with the water infrastructure, there's like every water, it says right there, like 50,000 individual suppliers. So you go from having hackers going at like a couple of manufacturers to 50,000 different suppliers, and they all have different systems. So it makes sense to have this expertise of hackers take a look at it, because the IT staff may be dealing with something that's unique, and not have all these different considerations. I think looping back to some earlier stories that, people may not have security in mind, and this group to have, DEF CON take a go at, 6 sites to start. And I know even in like the byline, it says like 6 sites started for security cleanup and, 49,000 to go. These things starts to snowball and just kind of reverberate out. And I've seen that with a number of initiatives as well, is that you start with the small things. Like I could say just in my initiative, just start with like the thing that I do is like searching for missing persons and making people aware, and you go, but there's so many out there. How can you make an impact? And it's just, okay, you start using OSINT to find missing persons, and that just kind of expands out and out, and more organizations and more law enforcement learns those techniques, and it starts to make a real disruption to help. I think that'd be the same type of thing with going after the water systems, is that you start with 6, you start somewhere. Kind of like the old proverb of like, how do you eat an elephant? And just one bite at a time. You start somewhere, it reverberates out, and eventually you'll have more systems, more knowledge, and hopefully really be able to take down, get after those 50,000 sites to go after.
Yeah, and if it's done properly, it also gives the industry of, let's call it, utility providers or whatever vertical you want to call it. It gives that industry confidence that things can be tested in a safe and controlled manner. If it can be done by DEF CON volunteers, it can be done by any pen tester in theory, right? Safely. And I think the biggest argument that I make for our clients all the time is like, well, you're already being tested. It's just a case of, do you want us to tell you the results, or do you want the real hackers to just send you the ransom note? Like, you're already being pen tested. You just, you can either have us do it, or you can have real bad guys do it. So I think this is a good argument for, these are the, good guys doing the same thing that bad guys are probably already doing.
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to open up the floodgates against those.
Oh, nice pun.
Open.
There's been so many
problems.
water puns in the chat. Someone said, "Who leaked the story?"
American waterways.
They're just dripping out information at this point.
Someone said confidential. Somebody said confidential resources were tapped.
It's really hard wading through all these comments.
Yes.
How do we boil the file to make sure it's safe to open?
Carefully.
Is that a thing? That's just virus total. That's what that is.
That's exactly.
Our company's going to be putting their employees on like a virus total warning. It's like, please submit all files to virus total before running.
Gonna DDoS virus total. Everybody trying to be secure.
They're going to be like, we already have all these files.
Yeah, someone's just gonna hack virus total and be like, that's where all the files are.
That's true. Oh yeah, to close out the show, let's talk about our Cyber Monday event, which apparently it's Cyber Monday. I was under a rock. And
I didn't get any of those emails. I have a strict Cyber Monday rule. Just go straight to spam.
Really? I couldn't.
Do not go on slick deals. But yeah, basically, we have a code which we've posted. All of our 40% of what is going on? Antisyphon's on sale and Spearfish is on sale. So training's on sale.
Corey's just going to make up a number.
Is training on sale? What's going on? Wait.
The Antisyphon thing is the Secure Code Summit.
It's completely unrelated. You're just plugging two things in one message.
Yeah. Well, nobody else plugs. I got to throw it in there, right? Like,
plug, you plug, son.
You want me to plug it? I'll talk about it, but.
All right. So first of all, we have a summit coming up. It's on the top of a mountain. It's going to be really hard to get to. It's remote. It's the Secure Code Summit, which I guess that's kind of topical. And then in addition to the summit, we also have a 40% off everything in the Spearfish General Store right now. So we really suck at capitalism. I assume, the code is in Leet speak. I can't read it because I'm not a hacker, but I'm sure it says something about 40% off. So buy some stuff.
So Corey, on the summit, my understanding is there's paid training and there's free talks, right? So
Correct.
You can do both or just one or the other.
Yep. Sounds like BHIS.
Yeah,
specifically familiar.
We've got talks on the 4th, and we've got post-summit, post-talk training on the 5th and 6th. So definitely recommend you guys check that out. We were all talking about secure coding, so it's kind of perfect.
Nice.
A lot of cool training highlights with Bo doing the breaching the cloud. This is super popular. Man, that dude does not go anywhere without doing that class, and people just love it. Joff and Derek are doing AI for cyber professionals. Sweetness.
Oh yeah, that's a new one. That's brand new.
That's a new one. Yeah, I am like excited about that. I got to be honest with you. Security
and then we have CTI 101 if you want to figure out who hacked you and why.
Hey, I've taken that class. It's awesome.
Hey, I've seen that Wade guy. He's kind of cool.
My first recommendation
is Mustache Cam going to be in the class or no?
Well, I mean, damn.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
This may also be the last time I teach that class.
Listen, infosec Tom Selleck. You better teach that class more than just.
Listen here, infosec Tom Selleck.
Oh, that's a good one, Daniel.
I told someone that I was getting compliments like Tom Selleck on the mustache, and they're like, I don't believe you. So now that there's a recording of this, I'm just gonna send them that clip again.
Your Magnum IT.
I need to get the Magnum PI.
Dude, do it, please.
Aloha shirt.
It would be awesome.
They're expensive.
Yes.
I was thinking about buying one when I did the keynote. It was like $80. I'm like, I don't know.
Cyber Monday though.
It is Cyber Monday.
It's 40% off, dude. It's fine.
Then you got to start driving an '86 Ferrari GT. I mean,
the service bills are going to be more than $80. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Hope to see you next week. Have a good week.
See you guys.
Later, guys.